Okay, when you are looking at GSM as a measurement to help figure out if a diaper is more or less absorbent, you have to consider that GSM is a rate of measurement. So what is GSM? It is grams per square meter. It is the weight of a fabric if they were to cut a square meter out, right? So they would say 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. They plop it on a scale and say, this fabric is 220 grams for this square meter of fabric. And then they would say this one, which is also 100% cotton, 100% cotton, 100% cotton. This one, maybe it says this one is 100 grams per square meter. And maybe this one is 230 grams per square meter. I haven't taken the measurements. These don't have rates on them on the tags, so I don't know for sure. But let's play pretend and say those are the rates. And that is how they determine what a GSM is for a fabric. And so it helps people who make clothing to understand if it's going to be a thicker feeling fabric or if it's going to be a thinner feeling fabric compared to other like fabrics. So we know that cotton feels different than polyester, just to touch. It feels different. It can feel different. This can feel different as a terry cloth than this linen or woven style cotton rag, right? So if you're looking at this feels and looks different. They are both the same fabric. So they have to have a measurement and verbiage to help you understand what that fabric is going to look like when you get it home to cut it and use it for sewing. So how does this relate to absorbency? So somebody said, okay, a heavier fabric is going to absorb more. And in theory, that would be a good assumption if you are comparing the exact same fabric type. So all three of these are 100% cotton, and you would think that this, cutting out the exact same square of this fabric, which is very hard to separate. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on the fly here, but you can see how this is multiple layers. If you were to take one layer of this fabric and cut it out in the exact same shape as this one and try to soak up spilled water, this will probably hold more water than this. And that's where the theory comes from, is that the heavier, maybe the tighter weave or more loops, right? Because these loops make more thread, which would make something heavier. So all of this to say, it can be useful, but you snag a little bit when you're looking at a total GSM because it's still a rate per meter. If you don't know how much fabric you have, you can't figure out how much something actually weighs. So for example, if somebody says it's 1,000 GSM for this whole insert, well, how many square meters is it total? You would have to take each layer, measure it, figure out how many inches by inches, right? And then convert it into meters, or you can do it centimeters, whatever. Figure out how many square meters you actually have of the fabric to compare if this exact, pretend this is an insert, if this exact insert is more or less absorbent than another if you're trying to use GSM. So I would use it, but with caution, because we also come into play of how is the thread made? So when you look at cotton, it's little fluff balls coming from the cotton plant. And hemp is you dry out the hemp stalk, right? The hemp plant grows, you take it off, you let it dry out, and then you smash it up to get it to be flimsy, right? Then you take it into this thing that looks like a brush and you comb it out to get these threads. Well, no matter what, because it's the stalk of the plant and not the little cotton fluff that this is, right? The little fluff part, no matter what, hemp is going to weigh more than cotton. So you can't automatically think that hemp is going to be more absorbent. You have to consider the other properties of the fabric, as well as the blends of the fabric too, to determine what could potentially be more absorbent. And then all this to say, it might be that hemp works better for your kid, or it might be that bamboo works better for your kid, or you might just want 100% cotton. It just all depends on your preferences and also the shape of the product, the number of layers of the product, and all these other factors that GSM can't be the only measurement for absorbency, but one can assume if it's the exact same fabric blend, so if you're looking at a 100% cotton item, 100% cotton item, 100% cotton item, something that weighs more probably has more absorbency power just based on the fact that it is a tighter weave or terry looped to make it heavier and have more area to soak up. You could assume that this potentially is better than this. If the inserts are the exact same size and the exact same layer count, then you could make that assumption that this would be better absorbency than this. And that's pretty much the only way that you would be able to use GSM effectively when you're making a comparison. So yes, it is a helpful tool to understand, but it's not necessarily the end all be all when it comes to absorbency. And remember, it is a rate per square meter. So if you don't know how many square meters of fabric you have, it might not be more absorbent just because the number looks higher on a piece of paper.